How could I have known that 4 or 5 years ago, when I first got these little chickens, that they would be the ones that would help us repair a homestead that we'd never seen and didn't know we'd be moving to, thanks to my friend Tina and her husband Will, who helped us get started in chickens. Miracles were beginning to happen, and we didn't even live here yet. About the same time that we decided to do sheep, my daughter began to live out her dream. She wanted to get 3 little ducks. So we added those onto the homestead. And over the next couple of years, we've learned much about ducks, chickens, and sheep. For us, our ducks and chickens can't be together. I know a lot of people say on their homesteads that the ducks and chickens get along just fine. But because we were trying to force the ducks and chickens to stay together, Bob Marley, my little Polish rooster, and all of his ladies were not able to do their job. And so our pasture sat dead and not filled with life for an entire year, because we weren't letting them do what chickens do best. Some really good friends of ours helped us build a duck run, and the ducks have loved their little home since. And our ducks come out on our lawn and eat all of the bugs, and they've kept us bug-free. Although the ducks have their own private little run, built like a hoop house, we don't force them to stay there. They get to come out and be part of the farm. We just don't let them around the chickens. And that way, Bob Marley isn't possessive over his ladies and protective, and he allows them to roam and do all the scratching and the pecking and all the other natural things that chickens do in pastures. Add a little grass seed, a nice hill of compost with dirt thrown on top and more used straw and more compost, and stir it all up, and you start getting lots of worms. Let the chickens in there to start scratching and pecking and fertilizing, and it aerates the soils, helps spread the nutrients, the minerals. Chickens are absolute experts at their jobs. I had no idea how much talent these little birds would have. And as a result, my sheep now have the beginnings of their very own luscious green pasture. Last year, I did a video, and I'll leave the link below in the description. Last year, they had a very dead pasture with no grass. I was very frustrated and didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to fix the problem. So I came out here with my rake, raked up all the rocks and pulled out some of the noxious weeds that would be really bad for my sheep. And I laid grass seed, watered it, and it began to come up. But my little sheep were eating it faster than it could grow. So the trick was I had to make a fence line so that they couldn't get back here to my back pasture for a while. The chickens could, and the chickens did their very best. And so I reseeded again, started watering every day, twice a day, sprinkled minerals over the grass, minerals that were okay for my sheep to have. And I kept my sheep on the other side of the fence. Thanks to one of my neighbors, hi Liddell, hi Myrna, and all your family, I was able to start cutting tall grasses that grow around the fence lines to feed the sheep so that they would not be hungry and so anxious to get to the back field because they would have plenty of fresh green grass. And the ducks, here they are in their little duck run, hoop house, that our friends helped us build. And that's what the pasture used to be. Just dead nothing. After animals have been on it for a couple of years, it's starting to grow. This is the upper pasture that we still have to work on. This is about what the lower pasture was before we started. So the sheep come up here by their barn. This is where the chickens are working a lot. And I've recently reseeded up here. Even though Bob Marley and his ladies, again, they were gifted to us by Tina Honsvick and her husband Will Honsvick. And they gave us the little red hen house. They were the beginning of our farmstead, our little homestead, that we didn't even know we were going to have. You know what they say, once you get chickens, the rest just come. But then we had to leave our house where we lived. And oh my gosh, the heartache that it was. Who would have ever thought that we could have a pasture like that? That's not how it was when we got here. We came from a place where we had a luscious, fruitful third of an acre, not quite third of an acre that we lived on, full of peach trees and apple trees and a greenhouse. Plants everywhere, berries. And we came here and there really was no landscape. There was a pasture that was fenced, which was wonderful, but it had no feed in it, no grass growing. There was no apple trees. There was a plum tree, but there just was nothing. So here we come with our chickens, our cats, and our dogs, and broken hearts. The magic's beginning to happen, and I wish Tina and her husband were here to be able to see it now. There's the pasture that Bob Marley and all his ladies have helped us get healthy. Here's our matriarch sheep. Her name is Macy. We love her and adore her. We lost her little friend a year ago. Yet, the circle of life is beginning to take place and to show its abundance. And we laid little Annie to rest here in the pasture. And over the top of her, we planted a little grove of willow trees. Someday soon, these little trees that I planted will grow into large trees, and they will provide much needed shade for my 3 remaining sheep that I have here on our homestead, as well as the chickens, the cats, and the dogs, and even for us. My plan for this little grove of trees, once it's much larger, is to set a little bench there and be able to come out and spend some time just sitting with my sheep. The lower pasture is really taking shape now and becoming a usable piece of land, thanks to my chickens. Thanks to little Bob Marley, who comes out here and scratches and pecks, guards his ladies so they can scratch and peck too. The property is becoming alive and healthy and flourishing. So now that I've got a good start on the lower pasture, I am going to take some of my grass seed that I still have left, and I'm going to go put a little bit up on the upper pasture. I have seeded it already this spring, but I'm going to seed it again. There's been some good rainfall the last several days, and I think it's a perfect time to try and plant that again for the upper pasture. I've been told by a lot of people that I would never be able to repair this pasture or get this pasture to grow if I allowed sheep on it or any kind of animals on it for even 2 years. I had some people tell me. But then I had other people tell me, just do it a little at a time. Do what you can. So I got to watching lots of different YouTube things. And one of them was the permaculture. I'll have to leave some links for some of the people that I watch, some of the YouTube channels that I watch. And I'll leave that in the description below. But one of the people that I watched said it's good to allow your animals to walk back over it because they kind of squish the grass seed down into the ground for you so the birds don't eat it all. And I'm finding that that's very true. It's really working for me. To be honest, I think the secret is learning to listen to your own land. So once I was able to make a fence line and separate the lower pasture from the upper pasture and keep the sheep off of the lower pasture, I planted it, let them walk on it and fertilize it for a few days, let the rains come and all of that, and then I blocked them off from it and kept them off of it for the last month, and it has just grown just amazing, and it's beautiful back there. And now I'm going to do the same with the upper as I can. So you can see the upper needs a lot of help, but I've spread more seed. There's been a recent several days of rain, so the ground is going to be very receptive to holding on tighter to the grass seed. I'm letting the chickens run around and scratch and peck and spread the seed and fertilize. The sheep have walked on it, helped me squish it down in, and it's beginning to come up. Slowly but surely, these chickens doing something that we think is just a little silly chicken thing, scratching and pecking. But because of these little birds right here, so many things have become possible in our lives. Now, I don't want to take any credit away from any of the other people that have helped. Surely Bob Marley and his ladies couldn't run the whole world. But for us, they were the beginning of the change in our world. I adore them. And I'm so grateful to Tina and to her husband, Will, who gave us a chance and helped us get started in chickens. I fell in love with Bob Marley and his ladies 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, when we first got them, when we lived in a different place, in a different time. And here we are on a whole different homestead. And this little Polish rooster is helping us turn our whole farm around. It's helping it begin to be alive and to grow and to flourish and to produce and to provide. We've lost a couple of his ladies along the way. And we've raised some baby chicks that he and his ladies raised actually themselves. And then they moved on to new places. I went and got 2 new hens. You can see them right there. They're much larger. They're the Brahmas. I got them from a friend named Rundi. They're beautiful. And there's my little Cochin blue duckle mix. But so many good things have happened. As we look back over all the things that have gone on in our life over the last 5 years, it's amazing to see the changes. It's amazing to see where things started and to watch things grow and to become healthy and happy doing what they want to do. Some might think that we're a little bit silly because we are so happy to see our animals happy, and we're sad and we mourn the loss when one of them is gone. But I'd like to think that the God of this world is watching down and seeing that even though they're just a chicken, or they're just a lamb, or a sheep, or they're just a duck, or a cat, or a dog, that to us, they're a living, breathing creature, a living being that was created for a very specific purpose. And by helping them live up to their potential and fulfill their purpose, that in turn helps us fulfill ours. I adore Bob Marley and his little Polish attitude. Oh my goodness. What a little spitfire he is. Those little Polish breed chickens, they're known for being spitfiery and hot-tempered. But oh, I adore him. And I love how much he loves his ladies. He is very passionate about his job. I love the ducks. They're so fun to watch. I don't know why on our homestead the ducks are such bullies to the chickens, but maybe it was because they just wanted to be in their own space. I don't know. But once the ducks got their own little duck run, they've been able to multiply. And now my daughter has, I believe, 8 ducks. They come out. They're the guarders and the protectors of our lawn, and the chickens and the rooster are the guarders and protectors of the pastures. The chickens and the rooster eating all the bugs and the flies from over in the pasture, which has really cut down on our fly issue and mosquito issue. And the ducks patrol the yard, and they eat all of the box elder bugs and other things like that we don't want around. But they've become natural pest control, so we don't have to spray all those poisons. I made this huge compost pile, or started it 2 years ago when we first moved here. And I just started hauling all the used straw and from the sheep barn and from the chicken coop and the duck coop, and just depositing it there in the back of our pastures. Then I would haul in dirt, compost, from our local landfill and I dumped it out there on top of that. And then we throw in grass clippings and food scraps and other things, and I'd haul in more dirt and more used straw and throw it there. And as a result, we now have worms everywhere. And it's so wonderful because those worms are helping to aerate the ground and soil underneath. Bob Marley comes over there with his ladies, and he starts scratching and aerating, and everything is just coming alive. To Tina and Will, I thank you so much. It might seem like such a little thing to most people that you gave us a little red hen house with a little Polish rooster and his 4 ladies, but to us, it's changed our world. We're so blessed that we knew you. We love you and miss you. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.